A SOC 2 report is often viewed as the finish line of compliance, but the true opportunity begins after the audit ends. When leveraged strategically, SOC 2 becomes far more than a checkbox or a stamp of approval. It transforms into a catalyst for operational excellence, trust building, and measurable business outcomes. The purpose of this phase is to shift mindset from attestation achieved to value realized. Organizations that internalize this perspective see compliance not as a sunk cost, but as a performance enabler, one that drives efficiency, strengthens brand reputation, and establishes resilience across every business layer. The continuous cycle of evidence, improvement, and transparency sustains trust long after the ink dries on the auditor's opinion. SOC 2 functions as a strategic asset when it is woven into the organization's brand and market positioning. The attestation serves as a trust signal to customers, investors, and regulators, demonstrating maturity and accountability in an age where transparency defines reputation. In sales cycles, SOC 2 reduces procurement friction and accelerates due diligence. In leadership discussions, it informs strategic investments in security and reliability. By integrating SOC 2 findings into board and investor updates, companies elevate compliance from operational necessity to executive confidence. When properly communicated, the attestation becomes part of the organization's public identity, a mark not of compliance alone, but of operational excellence and stewardship. The operational benefits realized through SOC 2 often exceeds its initial compliance intent. Standardizing processes across teams reduces downtime, human error, and duplicated effort. Automating evidence collection decreases administrative overhead while providing continuous visibility into control health. Vendor management becomes more consistent, improving oversight and reducing dependency risk. These improvements translate directly into measurable outcomes: faster response times, fewer incidents, and higher customer retention. The same frameworks that prove compliance also streamline operations, giving executives the data they need to make informed decisions about where to invest next. In this way, SOC 2 creates operational discipline that supports both resilience and profitability. Embedding a culture of continuous improvement ensures that SOC 2 never becomes static. Every audit finding, whether a minor exception or a critical gap, should be treated as a catalyst for enhancement rather than a mark of failure. Documenting corrective actions and tracking closure rates demonstrate accountability to both auditors and leadership. Proactive teams reward colleagues who identify potential risks early, turning vigilance into a virtue. This learning-driven approach prevents compliance fatigue and fosters curiosity about better ways to operate. In mature organizations, continuous improvement is not confined to security teams. It becomes a shared ethos that defines how the company learns, adapts, and grows. To demonstrate that SOC 2 delivers tangible business value, organizations must define metrics that tie control performance to real-world outcomes. Customer trust can be measured through satisfaction surveys, renewal rates, and reduced churn. Operational improvements appear in metrics such as incident frequency, mean time to detect (MTTD), and mean time to resolve (MTTR). Evidence automation ratios quantify efficiency, showing how many manual tasks have been replaced by continuous monitoring. Even employee engagement can serve as a proxy for program success, with higher training completion and participation rates reflecting stronger culture alignment. By linking compliance indicators to performance outcomes, leadership can finally quantify the return on assurance investments. SOC 2 maturity also strengthens enterprise risk management, (ERM). Mapping SOC 2 controls to the organization's risk taxonomy clarifies how day-to-day control operation mitigates broader business risks. Residual risk ratings from SOC 2 testing can feed directly into the ERM dashboard, giving leadership real-time insight into control effectiveness. Integrating SOC 2 metrics into board reports brings compliance out of the back office and into the strategic narrative of enterprise resilience. When audit data and risk analytics converge, assurance stops being reactive, it becomes predictive. This integration provides continuous visibility into organizational trust posture, helping leaders anticipate rather than react to emerging threats. SOC 2 outcomes can also empower sales and customer success teams when incorporated into pre-sales enablement. A well-managed trust portal displaying sanitized reports, FAQ sheets, and auditor letters helps prospects self-serve assurance materials while maintaining confidentiality.
Sales representatives armed with approved talking points and scope details can confidently answer security and compliance questions, accelerating deal closures. Tracking version histories and ensuring consistent messaging across customer touchpoints prevent misinformation. By aligning SOC 2 communication with customer assurance expectations, organizations turn compliance documentation into a trust accelerator embedded within every stage of the buyer's journey. Trust doesn't stop with customers. It extends across the vendor and partner ecosystem. Requiring SOC 2 evidence from critical vendors ensures that third parties uphold the same standards the organization promises its clients. Mutual assurance exchanges, where partners share reports and attestations, create transparency across supply chains and reduce shared risk. Aligning security commitments through vendor scorecards and collaborative reviews strengthens ecosystem accountability. When trust flows bidirectionally between providers, partners, and customers, the entire business network becomes more resilient and transparent, fulfilling SOC 2's spirit of collective responsibility. The SOC 2 framework also serves as a springboard for broader regulatory readiness. Organizations preparing for ISO 27001, PCI DSS, HIPAA, or HITRUST can reuse their SOC 2 evidence repository, control mappings, and risk registers to accelerate certification timelines. The process efficiencies developed under SOC 2, automated evidence gathering, policy version control, vendor management tracking apply universally across frameworks. Cross-referencing control mappings eliminates audit fatigue, ensuring that each compliance effort reinforces the others rather than duplicating work. SOC 2, therefore, acts as a unifying foundation for multi-framework governance, simplifying the journey toward enterprise-grade assurance. Integrating SOC 2 practices into the software development lifecycle brings compliance closer to engineering reality. Embedding controls into SDLC stages, infrastructure as code, IAC, and CI/CD pipelines ensures that compliance checks happen automatically before deployment. Backlog items linked to control improvement goals turn governance into part of the engineering sprint cadence. Real-time evidence collection validates these activities continuously, while automated KPIs, such as code scan pass rates or deployment approvals, quantify engineering contributions to compliance. By operationalizing SOC 2 within product and development workflows, companies transform compliance from a downstream audit exercise into an upstream design principle. Customer transparency is where SOC 2 transforms into brand storytelling. Sharing curated security and privacy metrics like uptime, incident response improvements, and remediation timelines helps customers understand how assurance translates into reliability. Publishing annual or quarterly trust reports balances openness with confidentiality, showcasing improvements without disclosing sensitive configurations. This approach reframes compliance not as a behind-the-scenes process, but as a visible commitment to quality and accountability. In markets where reputation defines differentiation, transparency becomes one of the most powerful forms of marketing, and SOC 2 becomes the proof point behind the promise. Leadership plays a crucial role in ensuring SOC 2 evolves into a permanent trust enabler. Executives must advocate for continuous assurance, champion automation investments, and communicate program achievements to stakeholders. Including control ownership in performance reviews ensures accountability cascades through the organization. Recognizing teams that maintain audit readiness or close high-priority findings reinforces desired behaviors. Aligning compliance goals with strategic objectives, such as market expansion, risk appetite, or operational resilience, translates assurance from a governance obligation into a growth enabler. SOC 2 maturity ultimately mirrors leadership commitment. When executives value trust as a business outcome, the rest of the organization follows suit. For more cyber-related content and books, please check out cyberauthor.me. Also, there are other prepcasts on cybersecurity and more at baremetalcyber.com. Automation maturity defines the next phase of SOC 2's evolution from static audits to continuous assurance. Expanding continuous control monitoring across more domains, security, availability, privacy, and vendor management, allows teams to detect anomalies before they become exceptions. Integrating AI-driven analytics introduces predictive risk detection, identifying subtle deviations in access patterns, patch cycles, or configuration drift. Measuring automation ROI annually demonstrates tangible business value, less manual evidence gathering, faster control validation, and reduced audit preparation time. As automation scales, compliance teams shift from collectors to curators, overseeing intelligence systems that generate real-time, audit-ready evidence with minimal overhead. The organization moves from reacting to controls to living within them.
Analytics and insight generation transform raw SOC2 data into meaningful intelligence. Trend analysis of exception reports reveals where processes need reinforcement or redesign. By correlating audit outcomes with cost avoidance, such as reduced downtime or prevented incidents, leaders can quantify the financial impact of strong controls. Predictive models that highlight potential control failures based on past behavior allow remediation before audit findings ever occur. Governance dashboards should visualize these insights for executives, linking assurance to strategic performance. When compliance data becomes business intelligence, SOC 2 matures into an analytics-driven governance model that continuously refines operational quality. Customer-centric assurance programs ensure SOC 2 meets diverse buyer expectations. Small and mid-market clients may prefer simplified summaries of controls that emphasize trust and transparency without technical depth, while enterprise customers often request detailed mappings and evidence alignment with their internal frameworks. Tailoring deliverables to these segments increases relevance and engagement. Tracking which materials customers access most frequently helps refine future updates. Over time, assurance becomes a curated service, not just a compliance output, delivering the right level of transparency to every customer type and strengthening the organization's position as a dependable, trusted partner. Benchmarking and industry collaboration extend SOC 2 beyond organizational walls. Participating in trust consortiums, security alliances, or industry peer exchanges allows organizations to compare metrics, share lessons learned, and co-author white papers that advance best practices. These activities demonstrate leadership and contribute to the larger assurance community. Public engagement, through webinars, blogs, or case studies, enhances credibility and reinforces the organization's commitment to responsible transparency. Benchmarking against peer performance also helps set realistic improvement goals, transforming SOC 2 from an internal measurement to a collaborative journey of shared trust advancement. Brand and reputation growth are natural byproducts of consistent SOC2 maturity. Verified trust achievements can feature in marketing collateral, customer newsletters, and investor relations materials, provided they remain accurate and approved by compliance. For investors, SOC2 outcomes signal organizational stability and sound governance. For customers, they represent reliability and safety. Linking assurance milestones to environmental, social, and governance, or ESG, or corporate social responsibility, CSR, intensifies their impact, positioning trust as part of the company's ethical and sustainable business narrative. When reliability becomes measurable and public, SOC2 transitions from a report into a reputational asset. Monetizing compliance maturity turns assurance investment into competitive and financial advantage. Demonstrable control strength can lead to reduced cyber insurance premiums or faster underwriting processes. In highly regulated sectors, a valid SOC 2 attestation can accelerate entry into new markets or partnerships. Sales teams can justify pricing premiums by emphasizing verified reliability and lower customer risk exposure. Documenting SOC 2's contribution to reduced downtime, increased retention, or faster deal cycles quantifies its ROI. Compliance, once a cost center, becomes an engine of revenue protection and opportunity creation, proof that trust has tangible economic value. Global scalability is the next frontier. Organizations expanding into international markets can reuse SOC2 controls as the foundation for local attestations, such as ISO 27001, GDPR accountability frameworks, or regional privacy standards. Localization involves aligning evidence with jurisdictional data sovereignty rules and translating key trust documentation into regional languages. A centralized multi-framework repository supports parallel audits across APAC, EU, and LATAM operations. By demonstrating that SOC 2 principles transcend borders, organizations strengthen their position as globally trustworthy custodians of data, capable of meeting diverse compliance expectations through unified governance. Maintaining credibility requires humility and transparency. Every SOC2 report has defined boundaries, specific systems, periods, and trust categories. Communicating these limitations clearly builds authenticity and prevents overstatement. Organizations should present their attestation as evidence of continuous improvement, not perfection. Welcoming auditor feedback and sharing improvement commitments publicly fosters accountability and trust. In the age of security marketing saturation, candor becomes a differentiator. When customers see transparency rather than defensiveness, SOC2 becomes a bridge to lasting trust instead of a temporary credential. Avoiding stagnation after attestation is a continual challenge. Static spreadsheets and legacy documentation must give way to live dashboards and evolving metrics. Controls should be refreshed and revalidated continuously, not just before annual renewals. Each new audit cycle should introduce measurable enhancements, expanded automation, refined KPIs, or improved communication channels. The goal is perpetual forward motion, where every year's report demonstrates growth, not just maintenance. Measuring success by maturity improvement rather than audit pass rates keeps the program vibrant and future-oriented. Cross-functional alignment ensures that SOC 2 remains embedded in the organization's DNA. Compliance teams should work hand-in-hand with IT, engineering, HR, and product management, using shared dashboards that display relevant metrics for each function. Clear communication of goals, timelines, and performance outcomes keeps all teams synchronized. Regular collaboration meetings reinforce shared accountability, ensuring that SOC 2's sustainability doesn't depend on a single department. A truly integrated program aligns compliance goals with business objectives, embedding trust into every operational domain. SOC 2 maturity progression follows a clear evolutionary path. Organizations begin as compliance-driven, focused on passing audits and closing gaps. The next stage is performance-driven, where controls directly improve efficiency and resilience. Mature programs become metrics-informed, operating as continuous assurance ecosystems with real-time visibility. The final transformation leads to predictive, autonomous governance, where data and analytics anticipate risk and guide action automatically. At that stage, SOC 2 transcends obligation and becomes synonymous with operational excellence, driving competitive advantage through sustained reliability. In conclusion, SOC 2's greatest impact emerges when it becomes a catalyst for transformation rather than a certificate of compliance. It drives measurable business outcomes, deepens customer trust, and elevates corporate reputation. Through automation, analytics, and cultural integration, compliance evolves into a core component of organizational performance. By maintaining humility, transparency, and a commitment to continual improvement, SOC 2 transforms from a moment in time into a living framework for trust. This is the true vision of sustainable assurance, where verified controls and continuous validation underpin the future of resilient, customer-centric enterprises.